Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change. We apologize for coming to you a bit late this morning. You can blame technology, or you can blame Kansas and North Carolina playing so late that I was bleary-eyed, but I digress. If you are listening, if you are watching on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, smash that like button, subscribe, do all you need to do, because we have Dwayne Long here. Once again, you always see the avatar of Orlando Pace because we want to make sure Dwayne can get his naked jaunts on and not be ID'd by the police. Dwayne, how goes it in the fine city of Columbus this morning?
Oh, I'm still shell shocked. What a great game last night. And we had some people leave, and that was a big surprise. So, a lot going on to digest.
Once again, if you have any questions for Dwayne or myself, please fire them out at us. We would love to answer them. But let's discuss the goings on. There's plenty of news, and of course, the main story: Justin Ahrens has left the basketball program. Just kidding. I digress. He has left, but that's not obviously the biggest news of the day. Two defensive backs, Bryson Shaw and Legend Cavazos, saw the writing on the wall. Both have elected to transfer. Not too surprising, Dwayne. We were talking before the show. I think there were some discussions this weekend. There were some spots filled. There were some official deals registered, and that caused other dudes to jet. Your thoughts on Bryson Shaw and Legend Cavazos leaving the Ohio State program?
Well, I think it's good for everybody. You could not really be happy with what you saw out of Bryson Shaw last year. He was only in there after several injuries. I mean, when you look at the injuries at safety last year, wow. We were going to be pulling people out of the stands if it had got any worse. One more injury and we would have been looking for volunteers. That's really the only reason the guy was on the field. It says it speaks volumes. He's gone now. The guy who started about half the year is now not even in the program because he had been pushed down the depth chart that far. But I'm looking at it at the positive. That says that all those guys, Proctor's back, Dunn is back, and Turntine, those guys are back. So, from injuries and that's huge. That says, okay, these guys are ready to play, or they would have tried to get Shaw to stay around. Now, as far as Cavazos, I got to go back to high school and say that I didn't think that, from what I saw, that he was Buckeye caliber. That goes back to the thing with friendship with Urban Meyer. He was longtime friends with the kid's dad, and that had everything to do with him coming here. He wanted to be a cornerback. He was not a cornerback. So and I don't know how much they tried him at safety, but I don't know. I'm just saying these kids go somewhere they can play, and we make room for guys that can play. So I just the transfer portal people are all worked up about it. I think it's a good thing for everybody.
Manny Jaws asked if we are taking questions today. We are, and we will answer them at the end of the show here. Yeah, I mean, we need to return to cornerback U here. You can look in the NFL and see all of our guys. The Marshawn Lattimores of the world. Brad Roby's made a nice run in there. Even Eli Apple has gotten cups of coffee in several places, and we just haven't had that in the backfield. This time last year, good gracious, look, we were looking at, we didn't know Denzel Burke would be what he was. We hoped Cam Brown would emerge. So now you're looking at it. I think the great thing is those guys have been passed up on the depth chart by younger players. Jordan Hancock for one, J.K. Johnson, Ja'Kalen Johnson, another. So if you're older and you get passed by a younger guy on the depth chart and you want to eventually be a starter, it's time to go. And there's going to be some changes anytime you bring in a new coordinator. And I think that's what we're seeing. So I definitely think it's a good sign that the youth is being served. Anybody who watched any of the video over the weekend can see those guys flash. Let's talk about tomorrow. Malik Hartford arguably the best defensive back in the state of Ohio from outside Cincinnati, will be making his commitment. He has a Final Five. Most crystal balls lean towards Ohio State. Your thoughts on Hartford and whether or not he'll be a Buckeye?
I love this kid. To me, he's just what you're looking for in a safety. He's a big kid, and you want that bigger guy, Dan. The safeties are going to be up at the line of scrimmage. They're going to be making tackles. Your safeties are often your second or third most tackles on your team. These guys got to be physical, and I love the size he can take on these bigger, and really help on these bigger wide receivers. So he checks all my boxes. I'm very happy to have that kid, and he's a naked joint kid for me. So I'm going to break out of here in the next about 12 hours and get prepared.
Yeah, it's we talk about this ad nauseum, but when you have guys of this caliber in the state of Ohio, even if they're that close to Cincinnati, you've got to get them in the fold. We've actually done a good job down there recently with the Tegra Shabolas of the world, Jair Brown, et cetera. So that's a really good idea to get that going. And Malik Hartford, I believe, will be a Buckeye tomorrow. If you are watching, you don't have to take a break. If you are listening to the podcast, we're going to take a quick break and come back. All right, we are back. Here's a guy we want to talk about. Dwayne, there's a guy we haven't discussed much. And there's some information that came out yesterday that was very, very encouraging. Caleb Downs out of Georgia, really without question, the number one safety in the class. There's a lot of vibes now that Alabama and Ohio State will be the teams to beat. He recently visited. His lineage is incredible. His father played in the NFL. His uncle played in the NFL, or at least had a cup of coffee after being a 1,000-yard receiver at North Carolina. His uncle is Dre Bly. Your thoughts on Caleb Downs possibly being added to the class?
I tell any fan, go look at his film and tell me that's not the best safety in the country. You don't need to be a professional to see just how special this kid is. If you can't figure it out, then stop trying to evaluate talent. He is special. Getting him, we have not recruited safeties well. We were talking about it on the message boards. It's been a while. I mean, Shaw, I even at the time I said was a reach. And you look at Hooker, I just could not believe we took him. We've just not
the younger
done
one.
well. Our numbers are not even what they should be. So getting the safety talent up like the cornerback talent, that's something we need to do. And with this coach, he's going to be pushing that. Knowles safeties are key to his defense. So he's going to be after Ryan Day to get him a few more talented kids. And that's a great start right there. With Hartford and this kid, Caleb Downs, that would be a great start.
Yeah, Malik Hartford and Caleb Downs in the same class. Then you're talking like a receiver hall kind of thing. You can make an argument it's the best. It's your number one and number two safety on your board. If they get them, that's tremendous. Once again, not easy to get a guy out of Georgia, but Downs is not the type to, I think, be limited in his purview, given the fact that he's got pros all throughout the family. Let's talk about the scrimmage the other day, Dwayne. Great video from us that you could see. They let the fans in there and the students in there, but they let us get in there as well. We got to see the offensive line. If anything's different, it's that Matt Jones is on the right side and Donovan Jackson is on the left side at guard. The rest is who you expected. I think there weren't too many surprises on offense. The defense, I was very impressed with the defensive line. The Jack Sawyer, JT Tuamolau, Mike Hall, Tyleek Williams just looked tremendous. Defensive backs, I thought Jordan Hancock flashed. Your thoughts after seeing the group? I know you have a little bit of concern about the depth on the offensive line.
Yeah, I brought that up with you immediately after I watched what D Bids threw up there, which was really, really nice. I watched it several times because now the starters looked really impressive. They seem to be working together. They were they did very well despite being under assault, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. The backups, especially inside, they need a lot of work, or we need to find somebody else because they were just getting beat consistently when they were in there by the defense. It was concerning. So one thing you want to hope for this fall, Buckeye Nation, is keep that offensive line, the starters, healthy until these backups can get their legs under them. That was concerning to me. Now defensively, I mean, I always wanted to throw more blitzes in, in the last few years. Well, guess what? We're going to blitz. He he's sending people every down. I love what Knowles is doing. He was attacking. I kept seeing guys coming out of the second level while the scrimmage is going on. He's going to send players. He's going to get to the quarterback by whatever means necessary. Now, what I think he'll discover is he's got ends and tackles that can get the job done. So you really only want to rush 4, but he's going to use however many he needs to. But I think he's going to find that we've got it's just a higher level of talent, and he might be able to get away with just rushing 4 every now and then. But I love that he's going to get to the quarterback by whatever means necessary.
I'm going to just read the question that Lotus One had here because you just actually answered it. And the question was, do you believe that Knowles' scheme will lead to a more aggressive mentality from the players in the defense? And do you expect to see blitzing on passing downs or on a regular basis? I think what you got out of that is, from Dwayne in the previous answer, lots and lots of aggressiveness, lots of blitzing, lots of guys coming from places to confuse the quarterback. Next question from Mike Wyatt, Dwayne. Why does Larry Johnson not run more stunts?
I think he believes in the talent he has, that they can beat anybody one-on-one. And here's the thing about stunts. You can spring a guy free. He's running free chasing the quarterback, or you can create a big hole for somebody to run through. So that's a concern about running stunts. I understand wanting to run more. Maybe we should mix it in a little bit more, but I think Larry Johnson is just convinced these are elite talents, and they're going to beat the guy in front of them consistently. We don't need to do stunts, which can be risky.
Steve Loki asks, and I'll take this one, with 2 guys entering the transfer portal, where does that put us in the scholarship number? And is it possible to look at another tight end from the portal or maybe more offensive linemen? As far as the transfer portal, literally anything is possible while it's still fluid. I do think they will look at that, but keep in mind, the bar is pretty high when you talk about Ohio State to come in and play. Most guys who would be able to play tight end at Ohio State are a featured part of their offense already wherever they are. So it would take something special. That's less likely, and I think O-lineman's kind of the same way. Ohio State has a pretty high bar for that, and unless it's a graduate transfer, like the kid we got out of Rutgers, I don't think that's going to happen. The number I think is at 88 right now. I would not worry about the number. I know that used to be a huge deal, the scholarship number, but the way things go now, I don't think you have to worry about that at all. There's no chance they're going to pass on a player that can help Ohio State because of the numbers. You know what they'll do. All right, this has been a relatively popular topic here. From Mani Ja, what do you think about Al Washington's work as a linebacker coach, both recruiting and developing? Dwayne, I'm going to take this one. Look, we don't want to kick anybody when they were down. Al did not have a great run here. I think we all know that. The emergence of guys like Reed Carrico this year, as opposed to last year, show that maybe guys weren't allowed to play with their instincts quite as much. So never want to be too negative about a guy who left Michigan to come here, by the way, and is now at Notre Dame doing his Midwest Power Tour. But I would say, the fact that Jim Knowles is now in charge of the linebackers will mean the linebackers will play better. By the way, Al could recruit, so let's not throw shade at that. He's got some real quality players in here. Dwayne from Omar Austin, who emerges, in your opinion, as the number 4 and 5 wide receivers?
I think it's pretty obvious that Julian Fleming is going to be number 4. Who's going to be number 5? That could be Ballard, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I would throw out there.
That's the kind of thing, though, Dwayne. You know this. Yeah, it could change every week. The top 4, I think, are locked, and then they'll receive the majority of the snaps, and then after that, and whoever has the best week in practice. They don't really use 5 receivers as much as one might think. Maybe they would if Ballard pushes hard to get in there, but it's not like the first, second, and third receivers are going to have trouble getting open. So there's only one ball to go around. Ed Rogers, Dwayne. Is Ed Rogers delusional to think a national championship for Ohio State is a possibility this year?
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely not. The offense is going to be so explosive. It's not going to be a thing of stopping the offense. You're not going to stop the offense. It's about trying to keep the Buckeyes under 40. That's going to be, and we're going to be better on defense. Come on, man. We've been watching this go down for how many years now? 4 or 5 years, where the defensive was just not good enough, even though we're sending players to the NFL. So that speaks volumes. We all those guys are out of there. I mean, other than Larry Johnson, is there anybody back? I can't think of one off the top of my head. These guys just weren't getting it done. They'd get this elite talent, and they weren't coaching them up good. The scheme wasn't good. Too many big plays, and that's scheme. When you're giving up big plays, people aren't where they're supposed to be. And I go back to the Oregon game and just how badly we got out-coached in that game. That is
they're going left, Dwayne. They're running left.
Yeah, I saw that they were not good enough.
All right. From Sue Zabo, is she the number 1 fan of the show? She's in the mix. I hear Carnell Tate is leaning towards us, but who else from South Florida Express do you feel has a high likelihood to commit? Sue, Bill Kurlick has done so much work on this. He even did a podcast with our national team earlier today, and he had some tremendous coverage for over the weekend. So I can tell you that Brandon Innes is one of them. I saw a Twitter post last night. Could Brandon Innes and Carnell Tate both end up at Ohio State? And their 7-on-7 coach, I believe, said that's a possibility. So you definitely want to go check out Bill's work from the weekend. He has a story about how the Floridians almost didn't get here. And then he did a podcast this morning, and I would be silly to try and trump the dean. So please go check that out. Next question. From Spider Sillery, another fantastic viewer and question poser. If you pulled someone out of the transfer portal, what position would you get, Dwayne? And would there be a specific player in the portal you would want?
It would be, in particular, offensive line. I look at the guys and just watching that film that Dave Biddle came up with, I was like, what in the world? You're getting beat every snap. Tackles are doing all right. Inside guys, they just did not seem to understand what was going on. It was bad. I didn't get the numbers so I could, look and see who they were. But maybe I'll go back and do that and publish it in the thread. But it was just every play they were getting beat. We can't have that. We cannot have that. So that would be my number 1. More safeties. Just get as many bodies as we can. That would be the other thing that I would do. Other than that, there's just really no position. We're stacked. We got the cupboard is full.
I would agree with that. You'd say you'd like to go and get an elite tight end. By the way, we just had the number 1 tight end in the country named Jeremy Ruckert, and we didn't throw him the ball that much. So I'm not sure I would do that. I'd probably go get the number 1 corner just to lock up another receiver. I don't even know who that would be. But the idea of Denzel Burke and the number 1 corner, if it's not Burke in the country out there, I think with the pass-happy offense, this would be my go-to. All right, this is going to be interesting here. Michael Campbell is going to ask the first question, I believe, from a non-Ohio State fan. See if you can figure out who he supports. Let's just say Notre Dame's main package is this: Tyler Buckner at quarterback, Chris Tyree at running back, Michael Mayer out wide in the boundary, Lorenzo Styles, Avery Davis, and Braden Lensley on the field. Could this be the most explosive offense in the country? Michael.
No.
You and I know the answer to this. The answer to that is no. You're fighting for number 2. Dwayne, take it.
It's no. I mean, that I don't know any of those guys, but Styles says everything. You know our guys. I guarantee you know our guys. They're household names across the country and college football fans. All these guys. Nobody is not going to know who CJ Stroud is. They're not going. Everyone's going to know who Travion Henderson is. They're going to know who Smith and Jigba is. You're going to know our kids. We don't know yours. That speaks volumes.
We appreciate Michael Campbell stopping by, though. The more fans we get in here to jack our page views, we love it. All right, Steve Loki has an interesting question. Where does Cameron Babb fall in the depth chart? That's a really good question. At this point, I would just like to see Babb get to the opener healthy and able to play. Let's do that before we start worrying about putting him on the depth chart. This is a guy who's been literally to hell and back when it comes to injuries. And I know he had a nagging injury or one we thought might be more serious just recently. And it turns out it's not as bad as we thought. But I'm not worried about the depth chart for Cam Babb as much as let's just get him healthy and onto the field. And then we know his talent will show, when that does happen. Exactly. Sue's in here. Styles and Tyler Buckner. That's it. Good try there. Tyler Buckner, a quarterback out of San Diego. Hopes are extremely high, but I actually know someone who knows Tyler Buckner, and I'm going to hold my comments on him. Good morning, Bucknutters from Where Goes One. Oh, Michael Campbell has a return here. Do you know the 40 times in the Notre Dame offense? Yes or not? Yes or no? If not, you better research before week 1. The quarterback has wheels too. Okay. I can tell you this. I don't fear Tyler Buckner running away from anyone on the Ohio State defense. So, Dwayne, here's a question for you. Will Carson Hinsman see playing time?
He's got a lot of people to work over. That's for damn sure. Trying to get on the 2 deep here is just, you've got to claw. You've got to put in every bit of effort that you can. Everybody's going to get a shot. That's one thing about a new staff. Everybody that wasn't a starter gets excited because they know these are different eyes on us now. So we'll see. I don't expect him to be in the 2 deep, but who knows?
Well, I mean, if he's going to get in it, this would be the time to make your play, given the fact it's a new staff, etc. Like you said, Bryson Shaw, starter last year, portal this year. So things can change. One thing that doesn't change, we appreciate Dwayne stopping by, and we appreciate all these great questions, even ones from fan bases located outside the 614. We appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a good one, Bucknutters.